There were a lot of unexpected things in Pokémon Legends Arceus. We had new origin forms for Dialga and Palkia, we had Hisuian forms, almost like ancient forms, for Pokémon we thought we knew very well, and above all, there was the introduction of a new legendary Pokémon, Enamorus, turning the forces of nature from a trio into a quartet. From that moment on, there was a new question that we have to ask. So hey, I'm Not-So-Ace Trainer, and who could get a new member in Pokémon Legends ZA? Let's get into it. When Enamorus showed up, that wasn't the only surprise that she brought along. After all, we were playing through a game that took place in Hisui or Sinnoh, and the forces of nature, Landorus, Tornados, and Thunderous, were only introduced after this region came to be. And that was in the Unova region. They were never connected to Gen 4 in any way, and seeing them there was 100% not on my list. Still, if you think about it, they were a bit out of place in Unova as well, considering their incarnate forms are based on various deities from Japanese mythology, and their Therian forms are based on the four auspicious beasts from Chinese mythology. So it kinda makes more sense for them to show up in Hisui, and we have to keep that in mind. Looking at the Kalos pool of legendaries, we quickly realized that we only have the main legendaries of Zygarde, Yveltal, and Xerneas, meaning that this region did not introduce any sub-legendary group. It is the only region where this has happened. We'll go back to this, but for now, we'll go to Unova again. And so, it's there that we find the best candidates to becoming the new legendary group to get a new member in Pokémon Legends ZA, and they are the Swords of Justice. They are based on the tale of the Three Musketeers in D'Artagnan, written by Alexandre Dumas in 1844. You're probably saying, well, but we already have 3 Swords of Justice plus Keldeo, which complete the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan. But like Odd Cypher mentioned in my Discord, there's also a captain, Monsieur de Treville. Continuing with his train of thought, every new legendary introduced has been used to complete something, like Enamorus serving as the Black Tortoise of the Auspicious Beasts, or Regieleki and Regidraco as new periods of humanity's history. He also goes in depth into more philosophical topics, which I won't pretend to understand in order to artificially make this video longer, but I do encourage you to join my Discord and check it out for yourselves, link is in the description and the pinned comment. So, a new member of the Swords of Justice would be a great way to introduce a new legendary into an old legendary group, like they did in Pokémon Legends Arceus. But they would once again be borrowing from Unova, which is very repetitive, despite fitting very well. And so, here's another option. Because of Zygarde's presence in Alola, there's always the possibility that this connection is used in Pokémon Legends ZA, maybe creating a way for this Pokémon to travel to this region. This would give the Guardian Deities a 5th member to join Tapu Koko, Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini, and Tapu Bulu. These Pokémon are inspired on the main gods of Hawaiian mythology, Ku, Kanaloa, Kane, and Lono. With this in mind, and with Enamorus being a Pokémon based on fertility that was introduced to an old trio, I could see a new Tapu based on Haumea, one of the oldest worshipped gods in the Hawaiian Islands. She's the goddess of fertility as well and could fit the theme of redevelopment or rebirth present in Pokémon Legends ZA. Still, there's a chance that we simply don't have any new legendary added to an old group, but this doesn't mean that we won't get any new legendary at all. And so let's go back to the fact that Kalos has no other legendaries besides the main ones and compare this to another time where this almost happened. It was in Pokémon Sword and Shield that we saw something like this coming very close to becoming a reality. The main game before the expansion pass was out had only Eternatus, Zacian, and Zamazenta. It was only in the Isle of Armor that we met Kubfu and Urshifu, and it was only in the Crown Tundra that we met the Galarian forms of Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno, as well as Calyrex and its steed, Spectrier and Glastrier. Back in the day, Pokémon X and Y never had an expansion pass because they did not exist, but they also didn't have a third game. The much theorized about Pokémon Z never happened, and so we don't know what could have been. But what if they're using Pokémon Legends ZA to solve this legendary problem? With Unova and even Paldea, we saw that the inspiration for their sub-legendary groups came from something out of that region's myths. Like I mentioned, for the New York-inspired region, Unova, we had the Chinese auspicious beasts and various Japanese kamis for the forces of nature, and the French musketeers for the swords of justice. And for the Iberian Peninsula-inspired region, Paldea, we had the 4 perils of Chinese mythology with our treasures of ruin. Hoenn, for example, is based on Kyushu in Japan, but also had the Regis, which were inspired by the Jewish myth of the Golem. So it is likely that something like this could happen with Kalos as well. My first instinct was to go once more to Eastern mythology and just call upon the 4 heavenly kings of Buddhism. But this might not work in Japan, as they call the Elite Four the 4 heavenly kings, which, let's be honest, is a much more badass name than simply the Elite Four. And so, trying to pinpoint exactly what they would choose is next to impossible. They could stay in Norse mythology and give us something based on the 4 dwarfs that hold the skull of Ymir or the sky. They could give us the 3 Furies from Greek mythology. They could even give us the Trimurti, which is composed by the 3 main gods of Hinduism. It's simply impossible to pinpoint exactly what they would do if that was the case, since there's just a bunch of different mythologies to pick from. But if they went the Galarian birds route, I could honestly see them giving us Kalosian versions of the legendary beasts, which could fuel the fire of their origins once more. Or they could connect Scarlet and Violet to Legend ZA and add a paradox-based sub-legendary group, considering the likely proximity between both regions. One thing is for certain, be it a more obvious Sword of Justice, a less obvious Guardian Deity, or even a completely unexpected new trio, it is very likely that what happened with Enamorus and the Forces of Nature repeats once more in Pokémon Legends ZA, and it brings a whole new phase to join the over 1000 Pokémon that we have already met. And that is all I have for you today. I believe we'll see a new legendary Pokemon joining the legendary roster, but it might not come in such an obvious way as we expect. But what about you? Do you believe we'll see a new legendary Pokemon? Let me know in the comments down below. And now, like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pokemon content, and also ring the bell so you know when the next video is out. Also, you can become a channel member or check out my merch to further support the channel. I'd be forever thankful for that. You can follow me on social media or check out one of my streams here and on Twitch. All the links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.